right, and here is the magazine itself, and you can see a weird looking image of the ship there. It looks like a mix and mash of different parts of other ships. It's got some information right here. It's considered a towing vessel, so basically this is the tow truck of Starfleet. It was launched or operating in the 24th century, 90 meters long, and it can go as fast as warp 6. So you turn the page, and the format, once again, is the same as all the others. And you have your stand assembly and some more information right here on my left. As operated by the Federation, can only be operated by a crew of 6, and can go as fast as warp 6. So you turn the page, and you have yet another view of this ship here. I just have to say, it's such a strange looking design. And it doesn't really have a specific name. It's just called the Federation Tug. And you got some brief text about it here. And of course, a screen cap from A Time to Stand, which is probably the only time we ever saw the tug ship in action. Which is unfortunate, because it would have been cool to see a bunch of tugs kind of dropping out of warp and just towing a bunch of damaged ships out of the way or to safety. And there's the splash centerfold showing you where various components are. And there is the ship engaging the tractor beam, towing the Excelsior class USS Frederickson, I think it is. And you turn the page, and here is this little article on the building of this Federation tug. And basically, from the looks of it, it's like a mix and mash of different pieces. And if you look closely, you'll see that the warp nacelle is actually the warp nacelle from the Romulan scout ship. So they kind of repurpose certain parts for this model. And here's what I call magazine filler. Designing the Ketracel White storage facility. Ketracel White is the drug which powered the Jem'Hadar, or was like their source of nutrition, or I guess given to them by the founders in order to have them be controlled by their founders. So yeah, but looking at this, at first glance, I thought this was the infamous Internment Camp 371, but it was not. It's just a rendering of an asteroid, Ketracel White facility, and you got some more concept art down there, which is always cool to see. And more magazine filler, but this time on the amazing Doug Drexler, who was a scenic artist, who was responsible for a lot of the stuff, especially with the Dutra Defiant, and among other things. So this is about him and a lot of his work. And more on him and his work. And finally, we get the on-screen appearance page, which I believe it only appeared in one episode, A Time to Stand, as I mentioned earlier, on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and was designed by Judy Elkins. Unfortunately, that was the last time we ever saw it. And an interesting piece of trivia in this magazine, upon reading it, that scene in the episode where Cisco pounds his fists on the, I guess, the dinner table or coffee table or whatever it is in the Defiant mess hall, was actually an accident. He pounded his fist a little too hard on the prop, and it actually shattered. And I guess the producers thought it was cool, and so they kept it in. So that's kind of cool, right? And of course, I have next time to show you the Vulcan T'Pau, but I'll get to that later. And the magazine concludes with another view of the ship there on the back. So not too bad, pretty solid. And now, without further ado, I'm going to get to the ship itself. All right, and here's the model itself. As I said before, it is a strange looking model. Your warp nacelles are right here, and we actually get the clear blue, which is always nice to see. The actual paint applications are pretty good. This thing doesn't weigh a whole lot. This top portion is metal. The bottom part is plastic with metal kind of in there somewhere. And these little, whatever these things are plastic. The nacelles are plastic, and pretty much everything else is plastic. It's kind of big looking at it. It fits in your hand about that. And I guess it runs like this, and the tractor beam emitters are somewhere right up here. In fact, let me look at the magazine to see where they are. Let's see. Ah, yes. So the tractor beam emitters are somewhere between here and under here somewhere. So yeah, it's a pretty neat looking, or strange looking, I should say, ship. I guess I'm kind of glad to have it. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends were excited to finally get the Federation tug. And I guess this is a first for Star Trek, come to think of it. This is the first tow truck seen in the Star Trek universe. So it's kind of cool. And I'm guessing in universe, after many battles during the Dominion War, or maybe even the Borg battle of Sector 001, these little tugs kind of went into action and towed all of the damaged ships out of the way, or into space docks and stuff like that, star bases for repairs. So one interesting thing though is that this model doesn't have any identifying marks whatsoever. I mean, looking at it, you can kind of see that maybe it's Federation, but there's nothing on here that has like any Starfleet symbols, no Federation symbols, nothing on here that says Tug or Tug 1 or Tug 3 or something, or Starbase, whatever. I mean, it's just a generic tug, generic looking ship. And the fun, and even more strange thing, looking at it, it doesn't even really look like a ship. It looks more like a claw. I guess I'm going to say that there are more tractor beam emitters down here. I'm trying to see if they're straight. They're not, no, barely straight. But yeah, it's a pretty odd looking thing. And unfortunately, I don't really have much to say about it because we've only seen it in one episode. It's still a nice model. I'm glad to have it. I'm always glad to get something out of the ordinary, kind of strange in this collection. And so yeah, I wish we got to see it more and to know what it was capable of doing or see what it looks like inside. But it was just one of those things that we never got to see. And clearly it's a mix and mash of various pieces of other ships and other things. Like I said earlier, the nacelles themselves look like they were taken from the Romulan Warbird, not Romulan Warbird, the Romulan Scout Ship or the Romulan Shuttle. So that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to drop me a line down below and I'll do my best to answer you. And now, without further ado, I'm going to be quiet and show you what this thing looks like on the stand. And until next time, live long and prosper.